Having seen the different kinds of numbers and having classified them in terms of a number tree, we now look at a few types of natural numbers. We're going to study four main types of natural numbers. We're going to look at prime numbers, we're going to look at composite numbers, we're going to look at odd numbers, and we're going to look at even numbers. So what do we mean by prime numbers? Prime numbers are those numbers which have exactly two factors, which means prime numbers are numbers divisible only by 1 and the number itself. So for example, we have the number 2, the number 3, the number 5, the number 7, and so on. And what we can see about these numbers is that these numbers are divisible only by 1 or the number itself. On the other hand, composite numbers are numbers which have more than two factors, which would mean that these are numbers which are divisible not only by 1 and itself, but also by some other number beyond these two numbers. So examples of composite numbers would be the number 4, the number 6, the number 8, and so on. So we can see that the number 4 is divisible not only by 1 and 4, but it has one more factor, which is 2. So prime numbers are numbers which have exactly two factors, and composite numbers are numbers which have more than two factors. Another classification of natural numbers could be either odd or even numbers. Odd numbers are numbers which are not divisible by 2, whereas even numbers are numbers which are divisible by 2. So examples of odd numbers would be 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on. These are numbers which are not divisible by 2. Whereas examples of even numbers would be 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on, which means these are numbers which are divisible by 2. So these are four types of natural numbers which are extremely used, very commonly used in problems. Now there are three more important points that I would like to talk about with respect to numbers 0, 1, and 2. When we talk about 0, we need to remember that 0 is neither negative nor positive. Why is this very important? When we solve problems, we have seen one very common way of solving problems, which is by using values. And when we use values to solve problems, a very common error that we have noticed is we never use 0 as a possible value. Also, whenever we say a number is, we always talk about a number either being positive or negative. But if we do that, then we are not including 0 at either of these two places. And hence this is a very important point, that 0 is neither negative nor positive. Similarly, 1 is neither prime nor composite. So when we talk about prime numbers and composite numbers, these two types don't include 1. A very common way of defining composite numbers is numbers which are not prime are composite, but which means that we are including the number 1 as a composite number, which is incorrect. So we need to remember that 1 is neither prime nor composite. And similarly, 2 is the only even prime number. No other prime number will be even except 2. So this again can be very effectively used in problems. If we know in a problem that the number that we are looking for is even and prime, then the answer has to be 2. So these three are extremely useful points when we are solving problems, and this can reduce a lot of time of solving problems if we keep this in mind. We have already understood the concept of prime numbers. We now need to understand another concept called as relatively prime numbers, or what is also known as co-prime numbers. Let's look at the numbers 15 and 32. When we look at these numbers, we can understand that these numbers are not prime numbers, they are composite numbers. However, these numbers are relatively prime. So the meaning of relatively prime numbers would be numbers which do not have any common factor except 1. we can see that for the number 15, the factors would be 3 and 5. For the number 32, the only prime factor would be 2. And if we notice, there is nothing common in terms of the prime factors. So relatively prime numbers are numbers which do not have any common factor except the number 1. I have intentionally taken an example where the numbers are not prime numbers by themselves, but they are relatively prime. However, we also need to understand that if both the numbers that we look at are prime numbers, then by default they will also be relatively prime. But if two numbers are relatively prime, it does not necessarily mean that the numbers have to be prime in themselves. So just to finally recap, relatively prime numbers would mean numbers which do not have any common factor except the number 1. In the classification of numbers, we have already looked at rational numbers, and the definition of a rational number was when the decimal equivalent of the number is either terminating or recurring. So we've already looked at what are recurring numbers. Recurring numbers are numbers which go on indefinitely after the decimal point, but they repeat in a certain pattern. So for example, you can have a number which is 0.3 recurring, which means it goes on indefinitely with 3 being repeated. Or you can have a number of this type which is 0.12 where both digits 1 and 2 recur. Or you can have an example where you have a non-zero value before the decimal point. So for example, 2.37 recurring. Now there will be problems where you will first need to convert these recurring numbers into fractions, and only then can you solve the problem. So we'll now learn how to convert recurring decimal numbers into fractions. This type, if you notice, we've looked at all the recurring numbers where after the decimal point you only have the recurring part and there is no non-recurring part after the decimal point. If we were to look at such an example, then such an example would mean 0.16 where only the digit 6 recurs and 1 is non-recurring. We'll come back to that in a little while. Let's first understand this type. If we want to convert this into a fraction, as a shortcut, the simplest thing that we can do is we just write down the digit or digits which are recurring. In this case, the digit would be 3. And in the denominator, we would write down only 9s, and the number of 9s would depend on the number of recurring digits. In this case, we see there is only one recurring digit, and hence my answer would be 3 upon 9, which is the same as 1 upon 3. If I have to take up this example, I will write down the recurring digits which are 1 and 2, so 12. And in the denominator, I will write down 9s, and the number of 9s now would be 2 because there are 2 recurring digits, and hence my fractional equivalent of this would be 12 upon 99. When I look at a number of this type which is 2.37 recurring, a simple way would be to split it up as 2 plus 0.37 recurring and then follow the same rule, which would make it 2 plus 37 upon 99, which is nothing but, as a mixed fraction, 237 upon 99. If I directly want to write the fractional equivalent, not in terms of a mixed fraction but as an improper fraction, then another way of looking at such a number would be, when I am considering 2.37 recurring, we write the entire number which is 237, and from 237 we subtract the non-recurring part which is 2, and now in the denominator we would write down, we would consider only the part after the decimal point, and since we have 2 recurring digits after the decimal point, we would write down 2 9s, and hence the answer, final answer for this would be 235 divided by 99. This is the first type. When I say the first type, I mean after the decimal point we have only recurring digits. But now if I move on to another type, which would be after the decimal point we have a non-recurring digit as well as a recurring digit, then the shortcut for this would be something similar to what we did here as the last example. So we write the entire value here, which is 16. From 16 we subtract the non-recurring part, which in this case is 1, and now in the denominator we would have 9s as well as zeros. 9s would correspond to recurring digits and the zeros would correspond to non-recurring digits. So here we see that there is only one recurring digit and hence we write 1 9. There is one non-recurring digit, so we write 1 0. So the answer would be 15 by 90, which is nothing but 1 by 6. If we take up more examples of this type, so suppose we have 0.1234 where 34 is recurring. So following the same rule, we write down 1234 as the entire number, from which we subtract 12, which is the non-recurring part, and in the denominator we write down 2 9s corresponding to the 2 recurring digits, followed by 2 zeros which would be corresponding to the 2 non-recurring digits. And if we now take an example where we have a non-zero digit before the decimal point, suppose 2.389 where only 89 is recurring, then once again we write the entire number, which is 2389, from which we subtract the non-recurring part, which would now be 23, and in the denominator the 9s and zeros that we write down would be corresponding only to the decimal part, which means the part after the decimal point. So we write down 2 9s corresponding to the 2 recurring digits, and then we write down 1 0 corresponding to the 1 non-recurring digit. So in short, when we are looking at such examples where we have only recurring digits after the decimal point, we write down the entire number, for example 12 divided by 9s, the number of 9s being equal to the number of recurring digits, and in such cases we write down the number, subtract the non-recurring part, and in the denominator we would have 9s and zeros corresponding to the recurring digits and the non-recurring digits respectively. Having seen the different kinds of numbers, we will now go back to the examples that we had started off with and understand the relevance of the example with the numbers. If you remember, the example could be converted into an equation of this type where we said 4x plus 5 needs to be divided into 7 equal parts. When we looked at the example involving the beads are countable, whereas when we looked at the example involving water is measurable. And hence when we look at this example of the beads where they are countable, the answer has to be in an integer form, whereas when we look at water, which is measurable, the answer can be in a decimal form. So if I have to solve this equation with respect to integers, then my answer, the minimum value of x will be 4, because only when x is 4 can I divide this whole thing into 7 equal parts. Whereas if a decimal value is allowed in this example, then my value for x will be 0, because 5 liters of water itself can be divided into 7 equal parts. So looking at these examples and having understood the classification of numbers, we can now look at problems, and then dependent on whether we want an integer or a natural number as the number or a decimal value, we can then accordingly solve the problem considering the different types of numbers.